top 10 biggest mistakes buyers make before buying a house. The strategies to avoid stress, headaches, lack of sleep, all the above is coming up in this video. I'm going to be drawing on my 10 years commercial banking experience, my institutional real estate underwriting, my MBA in finance, my 7-8 years in residential real estate. You're going to get the benefit of all of these things coming up in this video to avoid mistakes a lot of buyers, not my clients, but a lot of buyers I see make over and over again. Hey, it's Joel Gableman with Gableman Group and Real Brokerage. If this is your first time to living in Northeast Ohio, welcome. We focus on helping families get more space. Whether you're having more kids are getting bigger, or maybe in-laws or parents are coming in to move in with you, we help families get more room. We help people relocate to Cleveland. We help families that are already in Cleveland that need a bigger house. And we help people out of the state and, frankly, sometimes out of the country find their next dream home. Give us a call, text, email, contact information you can put on the screen as well in the description. We love helping people. Now, let's get into the video of the biggest mistakes people make before buying a house. Mistake number one is get pre-approved. Now, you've probably seen other realtors talk about getting pre-approved. I cannot stress the importance of one, having a gun loaded, but on top of that, pro tip, get pre-approved from 3, 4, 5, or even more lending institutions. And when I say lending institutions, ideally get pre-approved by a few banks and brokers.
There's just so many options.
A bank like Fifth Third, PNC, Wells Fargo, US Bank, these organizations sell their own product mix of mortgages, where a broker might have access to 20, 50, maybe 100 or more different loan programs. So compare and contrast the different lenders and see who's got the best product mix for your needs. Now, I do have clients that say to me, Joel, I don't want to have my credit pulled multiple times. I don't want to get it dinged. It used to be the case within a 30-day window, if your credit is pulled, it has a different coding for a mortgage inquiry than it would for a credit card inquiry or another type of inquiry. Within a 30-day window, any credit with a mortgage code on that pull gets counted as a single inquiry. Now, it might now be 14 days if you want to be conservative, but the banks know you're not buying 6 or 7 homes. You might looking at 5 or 6 or 7 different credit cards. It looks like you want to get access to lots of cash, but if you're looking at getting a credit pull 5 or 6, 7 times, they know that you're not buying that many houses. So get multiple choices to get the best program. Mistake number 2, don't get lured by the sexiness of a low interest rate. And that's why I go back to mistake number 1, get multiple quotes from different lending institutions to see who's got the best deal. You know, I have people say, oh, I've got a 5% rate or a 4.5% rate, and it turns out it's a 2-year ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage, or it's a 2-year ARM with a buy down of points. So some of these teasers, they sound great, but when you get there, there's lots of fees. It's an adjustable mortgage that sometimes makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. You just have to know what you're getting into and be wary. That's why having a good realtor and a good lender to guide you straight is very helpful, but make sure you're not just looking at the interest rate. You're looking at costs. You're looking at the APY, which is the annual percentage yield, not only the annual percentage rate, because the yield takes in account costs as well as any compounding. So if you have 3 different loans and they're all 6% interest rate and they're all 30-year terms, and one's got an APY of 6.2, one's got 6.4, one's got 6.8, that 6.8, you better look over at the extra cost they're charging to get to that 6% interest rate. Know what you're getting into, but don't be lured simply by the low interest rate. 3, don't get taken advantage of. We all try our best. That's why, again, go back to get multiple quotes, because sometimes a bank will come up to you and say, hey, we've got this program. Let me tell you a story. I was looking at a car, and I sat down, had to go to the sales guy. He sits down and he says to me, hey, Joel, can you explain what happened with this 30-day late on your credit report? Now, I knew my credit scores. My credit scores are all over 800, and I knew what this guy was doing. It's an old sales tactic where they try to plant the seed of doubt that you might not qualify for the best program because your credit is a little rough. So I just looked at him and I said, I have top-tier credit, and if you try to give me anything but a top-tier program, I'm out the door. There's not going to be any negotiations. I'm just walking out.
Coffee's for closers only.
So know that credit bureaus, there's 3 of them, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Most lenders look at the middle score, and outside of the score, there are other factors that they need to consider. They used to call it the 3 C's, credit, cash flow, and collateral. If your cash flow is off or the house needs a lot of repair, there are other reasons that you might not get the top preferred rate.
We suffered a minor cash flow problem.
But if it's only a function of your credit, don't get taken advantage of. And again, that's why I always recommend getting multiple quotes so you know how to avoid or at least be protected. Pro tip, if you need to get a pre-approval and you just call a lender and they get your pre-approval, you are not committed to that lender just because they gave you a pre-approval. Now, you need to go over the purchase agreement. In Ohio, in our purchase agreement, it states that a formal application has to be made by a certain date and a loan commitment has to be made by another date. But if we need to have formal application within 7 days and we look at homes, we get the deal under contract, within that first week, if you find another lender that's got a far better program, you can go to that other lender. So pro tip, you're not locked into the lender that gives you the pre-approval. Mistake 4, do not make a big purchase before closing on your new home. Sometimes a client will buy that big car or they'll buy a boat and then their debt to income is all out of whack and they find out week before they're going to close, the bank says, nope, their debt to income's off. We cannot close on this deal.
I've made a huge mistake.
So wait until after you close on your new home before making any big purchases. 5, understanding how a bank looks at your financials. There are those 3 C's, which is the credit, the collateral, and the cash flow. They want to make sure the credit's good, they make sure the house is good, the collateral, and the cash flow. Now, if it's a conventional loan, you can go up to 50% debt to income. That means if you make $120,000 a year or $10,000 a month, your monthly expenses can be as high as $5,000 or 50% of your gross income. They don't count utilities, they don't count cell phone bills, but they're going to count your future new mortgage payment with taxes, insurance, PMI, HOA, whatever monthly expenses there are. They're also going to look at the minimum payment of your credit cards, car payments, anything that shows up on your credit record. That is going to be counted towards your debt service.
Yes, I'll loan you the money.
That is a rough rule of thumb. Now, just because you can afford a house with a, let's say, $3,500 a month payment all in, doesn't mean you should buy a house with that payment. So just know what you're getting into. That is how a bank is going to underwrite a maximum of 50% for conventional. If you're going FHA, I believe you can go as high as 56% debt to income, but that's a rough rule of thumb. Take what you make per month gross before taxes, divide that by half, and ballpark what your monthly expenses are to what you can afford. I'm going to get more into this in the bonus section. I'm including a cheat sheet, a simple Google spreadsheet that's going to make your life very easy to see what you can afford, and I'm going to get into that at the end of the video. Mistake number 6. Now, this might be self-serving, but you want to make sure you have a good real estate agent. 1, just because you're in Northeast Ohio, you might not find that I'm the best fit for you. We might not find we're the best fit for you. And 2, you might be in another state, but make sure you have a good agent. Meet with a couple different people. I would frankly, and I'm going to get some flack for this, I would rather work with an agent that has done 5 transactions than an agent that's done 500 transactions if that agent that does 500 transactions is pushy, doesn't get back to me, doesn't do what they say they're going to do. As long as that agent that's done the last transaction has a tie-in to help and support that can get the deal done and make me feel comfortable. So a coach, a team lead, a mentor, whatever it is, that they can get answers. The agent that you work with, you want to make sure that they do what they say they're going to do, they can get back to answers, they communicate well, and they don't push you into things that you might not want to do. Now, I will say that newer agent, they should be doing their homework. So if I'm looking at a home at Pepper Pike, Moreland Hills, Solon, Lakewood, wherever I'm looking, that agent should have knowledge of that market. That's their craft. They should be studying it. All things said and done, though, make sure that you're working with someone that you can trust. Mistake 7, make sure you have your paperwork in order, especially if you're self-employed, you have different income streams coming in, maybe you have distributions, you have K-1s that you need, 6 months of paperwork. If you're just a straight W-2, it's fairly easy, right? You've got your W-2, you're done. But if you have more complex cash flow coming in,
complicated? What's complicated?
to have the bank the easiest time possible to get you final approval, make sure you have your paperwork in order so you can make the bank's job easier. Mistake number 8, get inspections. I've said this in other videos. I always recommend 3, if not 2, which is a general inspection, a radon inspection, and a sewer line scope if the house is older, and I'm going to say 20 to 30 years or older, just to be safe. Now, you could get away with just doing a general. Radon, if the house has it, is a cheap fix, under $1,500, maybe $900 to $1,200. and a general inspection. If you're in the trades or the house is newer, it's very competitive, you can roll the dice. It's completely up to you, but I always recommend get inspections. Number 9 is title insurance. I had a client, they got a bunch of homes from a friend out of a portfolio. This was an investment. The house was worth about $150,000. When they wanted to sell and there was a tax lien search done, or just a lien search, a title search done, they owed like $50,000 in liens. And I said to the attorney, how is this possible? The house is only worth $150,000. And he said, well, talk to your client. Ask if when they bought it, did they go through a title company? And the person said, no, we wanted to save money. The seller just quit-claimed, transferred ownership over to us. And big mistake. Now, the pushback that you hear sometimes is title insurance oftentimes most of the time, never gets exercised. It's a profit item for the title company. That said, you don't want to be in trouble. You don't want to be in a situation where you buy a home and you then get stuck with the prior seller's problems, whether it's a mechanic's lien because work was done on the house and the mechanic filed a lien on it, whether it was a tax lien or another mortgage that the seller forgot about that never showed up. And the insurance is if the title company transfers title to your name and a lien pops up after transfer, you're not on the hook, the title company is. So go through a title company, get title insurance, get it done the right way. And 10 is your budget. I always, always, always recommend having a cushion. Every house, I should say every house, but I could say every house. Almost every house, you know, forget it. Every house is going to have some issues down the road. And you don't want to get into your brand new home, go to sleep, and then the refrigerator doesn't work. I had a client, he calls me up, he says, the inspection company did a terrible job. The refrigerator's broken. I need a new refrigerator. I said, oh, you bought the house 8 months ago. He says, yeah, now it's not working. I said, well, at the moment in time, did the inspection company, they looked at the refrigerator, was it working when they looked at it? He says, yeah. I said, look, what can I tell you? Things happen. Showers leak. Appliances can break.
It's always something.
Pro tip, have a home warranty. Either have the seller cover it and or get one for yourself. There are differences between home warranty companies. Some are bad, some are good. If you have questions, let me know. I'll get back to you or talk to your agent and get more details. But be prepared. Have a cushion because life happens, things happen, and you don't want to be house poor where you get into a house, you got the house of your dreams, and then something happens in the first week or first month or first year, and you haven't saved enough money to cover those other items.
I guess it's having just thrown $200,000 into the toilet.
Now, as a bonus, I'm going to show you guys, we're going to jump to the computer screen. I made a very slick Google slide, pulled from it, a very simple calculation. There's going to be a link below where to get the instructions, how to use it. It's super simple. Effectively, you're going to be able to determine your maximum home value of a house based on putting in some simple variables. That's my gift to you. Hopefully you find it useful. And let me know if I missed anything. Did I miss something that you say, you know, this is a big mistake that I made that people should be aware of? Do you disagree with any of my mistakes? Put that in the comments. I read all my comments, even if I don't reply to all of them. And if you're thinking about buying and getting a bigger space or even selling to find another home elsewhere, give us a call or text. Again, we love helping people all the time. And I will see you guys in the next video.